video, you'll see a series of interviews with students about the topic of Canadian culture. So this is a really fun series of interviews to watch. As you watch the interviews, listen for what the students have to say about Canadian culture. So what have they noticed about Canadian culture? What do they like about Canadian culture? And what do they find challenging? And as you listen to the students speak, think about how this will impact how you as a teacher actually teach culture in your classes.
Well, it's quite different from the culture in China, and people here are willing to talk to you most time, and I can always get help from strangers. That's a big difference. Well, the protection of wildlife. There are always some birds and rabbits. Yeah, rabbits in the campus. Well, in China, you cannot see rabbits in your grassland. Confusing thing. It's quite different from culture in United States. I've been to United States once, but the Canadian culture I think is kind of between Chinese culture and the United States culture in the United States. In the USA, the culture people are always they do not need to they always say something straight, and in China you want to express something, you have to circle. And it's quite different from United States. Well, in Canada, the way you express is between the American way and the Chinese way, I think. Maybe Canadian food. Yeah, I cannot get used to it. Maybe immigrants. Culture are mixed here and different food.
Actually, there's no big difference between my country and Canada because these days it is like globalized and westernized a little bit, so no big difference. But there was a big difference about paying bill, because in Korea, when you go to a restaurant as group, one person pay for all, but in Canada we split the bill. Yeah, it's kind of more logical, and yeah, I think so. I'm not sure it is right to say Canadian culture, but what I was very shocked was saying hello to someone I don't know. Like in Asia, we don't say hello or good morning or that kind of thing to someone I don't know. So yeah, that's the big difference between my country and Canada. Oh yeah, as I mentioned at the previous question, yeah, when I went to the convenience store, like clerk, say, "Hey, good morning, how are you doing?" That kind of thing, and because I didn't expect they asked me my feeling or how are you doing, that kind of. So yeah, that was a bit confusing for me. I think there wasn't that frustrating. I don't know, but the biggest advantage of strengths of Canadian culture is that people are very kind and friendly. For someone who newly came to Canada.
When I came here, I couldn't recognize that Canadian really love to do exercise outside. Even also Canadian love go camping, because in Korea camping is not common activity. So I was so surprised that Canadian love camping or doing exercise in outside. When I work street, so most people just say hi to me. Even I don't know who they are, they just say hi and smile. So I was so interested about this culture. I confused that Canadian money culture because Canada and Korea has different shape of money. So when I use money, I always confuse between Korean money and Canadian money. So it's too hard to using coin. So when I go to the store, I just show my money and just take it because it's too hard to use coin to me. Canada's weather because I'm from Korea. Actually, Korea has 4 different seasons, but I think that just Canada just have 2 seasons, summer and winter. So actually, I hate winter, but Canada has long winter, so it's, it's too hard. I think Canadian is very kind people in the world because they always smiling and when I have problem they always ask, can you help me or something? So I think Canadian is so kind.
First thing I learned about Canadian culture that they are so friendly to people or to foreigners, and they are very helpful. Interesting thing about Canadian culture that they don't mind interacting with the other cultures, so they are open to other cultures. Uh, why they love the summer so much? That they are so polite. Like in the bus, they always say thank you. Like every person, most people say thank you to the bus driver whenever he stops. So that's quite impressive to me.
Well, when I came to Canada, the first thing that I noticed or I saw about the Canadian culture was it could have been also the time of the year I got here. It was how much Canadians are into consumerism. And this is a very like a society that spends a lot of money, and we go and we buy everything that's advertised, and also that part, the advertising part, that you see that Christmas, for example, starts like basically almost at this time of the year. So you get bombarded by that, and you feel that pressure that we have to go and spend money. Back in my country, for example, we go Christmas shopping the 23rd and 24th of December. That's it. And that was a little bit of a like big shock and something different that I saw here. You can see of how frustrating it could be, for example, to just to drop in at your place. I cannot just show up and say, hey, I'm here. Even if I'm a good friend of yours, I have to basically make an appointment to see you, and that's very different. That's regards friendship. So, and family, I think our ties are very strong. It's not like here are not. Those ties are strong here as well, but um, we are almost every day in contact with our family, with our parents. And if they are old, it's basically almost given that you have to look after your older parents or members of your family. I was going to give you, I can give you an example for just to mention. One of the first things I noticed was I tried to meet my neighbor when I just got here to Canada. And yeah, the first time it was good. I made an effort. Of course, my English wasn't good, but I made an effort to, to introduce myself and talk about my background and everything. So the first time was good, and he was polite and kind of receptive towards me. But then that was it. And every time I wanted to approach to him, it wasn't that easy. It was a little bit of a distance always. And uh, and for years I felt that way here. It could be also frustrating, or that's what I'm trying to explain that to myself. It could be frustrating for somebody to trying to talk to somebody that doesn't have a fluent way of communicating. So, but apart from that, I think most Canadians are polite, and I consider myself Canadian now as well. So I think we are polite. We are very friendly, I would say, but to a certain extent. That's for sure. Yeah, I think what I find very interesting is how our social structure is divided, or there's not much of a division. It was interesting to see that most Canadians are part of the uh, uh, middle class society, and I like that. There's no difference between poor, rich, and whoever is in the middle. So I like that. In my case, what I find very frustrating is early suppers, dinners. I think I don't know. Well, we tend to eat very early, and then the night is over. If you want to go and find something to eat, find a restaurant open at 9 or 10 p.m., it's a little bit difficult. Everybody's already shutting down. Where I come from, for example, at 10 p.m., everything is just starting, especially in the summertime. And then also another frustrating thing is the family part, because most parents here in Canada tend to put their kids to sleep at 7, 8 p.m. and then they don't have time for socializing after that. And well, it's happening to me too, but like I said before, like if you were somewhere else, like in my country or the country that where I come from, like kids are up until 11 p.m. or sometimes even midnight, and there's a lot of things happening between those hours, and I don't know, seems like we get to live more that part of the season, or just it's time that you dedicate to your friends and family. If I have to define the Canadian culture, it would be that it's very diverse and multicultural as well. And so it's a good thing, because now for example, I don't feel like I'm part of a very small group of people, and I feel more comfortable than several years ago, especially here in Calgary, where I think the image of just cowboys living in Calgary it's almost gone now. But I think it's more than of an open society, and I think I feel more and more comfortable the way it is now.